It becomes impossible for a colonial master to save his life and run back to his own country. When the youth wake up, they no longer take any orders. This is what happened when the people of Burkina Faso filled the streets of Ouagadougou after hearing about the return of France. They burned French flags and sent a clear message. France is not welcome in Burkina Faso. Amid this, will France remain in Africa? Or are we about to see a colonial master being thrown out of Burkina Faso? Let's find out. The streets of Ouagadougou are filled with energy as supporters of President Ibrahim Traore gather in response to the return of French presence in Burkina Faso. This gathering highlights the strong tensions between the West African country and its former colonial ruler, France. It also raises important questions about the future of Burkina Faso's independence and safety. We all already know how tense Burkina Faso and France's relationships are.
L'ambassade de France a pris feu, ils ont forcé rentrer. L'ambassade de France est en feu. J'ai tout
In recent years have seen a significant shift, with growing discontent among Burkinabés regarding French involvement in their national affairs. This culminated in France's withdrawal from Burkina Faso, a move celebrated by many as a step towards true independence. And it all started with Traore. So now France's return under Traore's leadership gives a context of public outrage. President Ibrahim Traore's rise to power in Burkina Faso marked a significant departure from the political norm. Traore, often seen as a man of the people, has brought a fresh perspective to the governance of the West African nation. His leadership style is characterized by a deep commitment to transparency, accountability, and the welfare of the Burkinabe people. Remember, France is Traore's enemy. They dislike him, and the people of Burkina Faso love him. When people come under stress, they don't just come for their future, but also for their beloved leader Traore. And why is that? Why do they love Traore so much that they put him first?
Nous aussi on est volé, Inch'Allah, d'ici un mois, tous les terroristes, tous les djihadistes, l'Isère va aller comme avant. Inch'Allah. Vive l'Isère! Vive la Russie!
Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. Traore did a lot, and there isn't any exaggeration. One of the defining features of Traore's leadership has been his approach to economic policy. Recognizing the need for sustainable development, Traore has prioritized investments in key sectors such as agriculture, education, and infrastructure. His administration has implemented a series of policies designed to stimulate economic growth and create jobs. In the agricultural sector, Traore has launched several initiatives aimed at boosting productivity and supporting small-scale farmers. These include subsidies for agricultural inputs, training programs for farmers, and investments in modern farming equipment. As a result, Burkina Faso has seen a significant increase in agricultural output, contributing to food security and economic stability. Education has also been a key focus of Traore's administration. Understanding that education is a critical driver of development, he has invested heavily in building new schools, improving teacher training, and increasing access to education for girls and marginalized communities. These efforts have led to a notable improvement in literacy rates and educational outcomes across the country. Under Traore's leadership, Burkina Faso has embarked on an ambitious infrastructure development program. This includes the construction of new roads, bridges, and public transportation systems aimed at improving connectivity and facilitating economic activity. Notably, his administration has also prioritized the development of renewable energy sources, recognizing the importance of sustainable energy in driving long-term growth. One of the flagship projects of Traore's tenure has been the construction of a new international airport in Ouagadougou. This state-of-the-art facility is expected to boost tourism and trade, providing a significant boost to the national economy. Additionally, the development of new industrial zones and business parks is attracting foreign investment and creating new opportunities for local businesses. A central tenet of Traore's leadership has been his unwavering commitment to fighting corruption. He has introduced a series of stringent anti-corruption measures, including the establishment of an independent anti-corruption commission and the implementation of strict transparency and accountability standards for public officials. These efforts have led to a significant reduction in corruption levels and have restored public trust in the government. Traore's administration has also been proactive in promoting good governance. This includes efforts to strengthen the rule of law, enhance the efficiency of the judicial system, and ensure that government institutions are responsive to the needs of the people. By fostering a culture of transparency and accountability, Traore has created an environment where public officials are held to high ethical standards. Traore's leadership has also been marked by a strong focus on social welfare and healthcare. Recognizing the importance of a healthy and educated populace, he has implemented a range of programs aimed at improving healthcare access and quality. These include the construction of new hospitals and clinics, investments in medical training and equipment, and the introduction of universal healthcare coverage. One of the notable achievements of Traore's administration has been the significant reduction in maternal and child mortality rates. Through targeted interventions such as improved prenatal and postnatal care, vaccination programs, and nutritional support for mothers and children, Burkina Faso has made substantial progress in improving health outcomes for its citizens. Traore has also shown a strong commitment to environmental conservation. Understanding the importance of preserving natural resources for future generations, his administration has implemented policies aimed at promoting sustainable land use, protecting biodiversity, and mitigating the impacts of climate change. These efforts include reforestation programs, the promotion of sustainable agricultural practices, and investments in renewable energy projects. Traore's approach to environmental conservation has garnered international recognition, positioning Burkina Faso as a leader in sustainable development in the region. By balancing economic growth with environmental stewardship, he has set a precedent for other African nations to follow. And one last thing, well, the list goes on, but we stop here, is youth empowerment. Empowering youth and women has been a cornerstone of Traore's leadership. Recognizing the potential of young people as agents of change, he has introduced initiatives aimed at providing them with the skills, resources, and opportunities needed to thrive. This includes vocational training programs, entrepreneurship support, and the creation of youth development centers. Similarly, Traore has been a strong advocate for gender equality and women's empowerment. His administration has introduced policies aimed at increasing women's participation in politics, business, and society at large. This includes efforts to ensure equal access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities for women, as well as measures to combat gender-based violence and discrimination. And now the people on the streets prove that he has taught people how to raise their voices for wrong. Now the question is, how did the recent uproar started?
Nous,
on pense qu'aujourd'hui, ce qui serait nécessaire, c'est d'avoir un partenariat gagnant-gagnant, pas un partenariat où ça dit que c'est l'Occident seulement qui gagne. C'est ça notre problème.
The recent return of France to Burkina Faso has stirred significant controversy and concern among the Burkinabe people. This development, marked by the re-establishment of a French presence in the country, has sparked widespread protests and raised questions about the implications for Burkina Faso's sovereignty, security, and future trajectory. In the past, France was always welcomed, but not now. In recent years, there has been a noticeable shift away from French influence in Burkina Faso. This change was driven by growing discontent among the population, who perceived French involvement as a form of neo-colonialism that hindered the country's progress and self-determination. This sentiment was exacerbated by incidents such as the 2014 uprising that ousted longtime President Blaise Compaoré, a leader closely allied with France. Under the leadership of President Ibrahim Traore, Burkina Faso embarked on a path of greater independence, seeking to diversify its international partnerships and reduce its reliance on France. This included strengthening ties with other nations and regional organizations, as well as implementing policies aimed at enhancing domestic economic growth and development. But why did France return? Officially, French authorities have cited the need to address regional security threats, particularly the growing influence of violent groups in the Sahel region. The return of French forces and diplomats is framed as a necessary measure to support Burkina Faso in combating terrorism and ensuring regional stability. However, beneath the surface, there are broader geopolitical and economic motivations at play. France has significant economic interests in Burkina Faso, including investments in the mining sector, where French companies are involved in the extraction of valuable resources such as gold and manganese. The return of France can be seen as an effort to safeguard these investments and maintain economic influence in the region. Additionally, France's return is part of a broader strategy to reassert its influence in West Africa, a region where it has historically played a dominant role. This move is seen as a response to the increasing presence of other global powers, such as China and Russia, which have been expanding their footprint in Africa through investments and diplomatic engagements. Now comes the public reaction. Will they accept the baseless reasons? The re-establishment of a French presence has been met with widespread protests and opposition from the Burkinabe population. Many citizens view France's return as an affront to their national sovereignty and a reminder of the colonial past. The protests have been marked by large gatherings, with demonstrators carrying national and Russian flags and placards bearing slogans such as "Down with Macron" and "We are a sovereign people." The protests have been particularly intense in Ouagadougou, where the French embassy is located. Demonstrators have demanded the relocation of the embassy, arguing that its proximity to the presidential palace poses a significant security risk. This sentiment is rooted in the belief that the French presence undermines the safety and autonomy of the transitional authorities, including President Ibrahim Traore. The Burkinabe government and military have responded to the protests with a mix of caution and firmness. While the government has acknowledged the legitimacy of some of the protesters' concerns, it has also emphasized the importance of maintaining law and order. Security forces have been deployed to manage the demonstrations and ensure that they remain peaceful. At the same time, the government has engaged in diplomatic dialogues with French officials to address the contentious issues. These discussions have focused on finding a mutually acceptable solution that balances the need for security cooperation with respect for Burkina Faso's sovereignty. The outcome of these negotiations remains uncertain, but they underscore the complex dynamics at play. First of all, France won't be able to stay. But let's assume it does. How would it affect Burkina Faso economically? The return of France has significant economic and social implications for Burkina Faso. On one hand, French investments and aid have the potential to support economic development and infrastructure projects, contributing to growth and stability. On the other hand, the perception of external interference and the potential for exploitative practices raise concerns about the long-term impact on the country's autonomy and development. The protests and public discontent also highlight deeper social and political issues. The Burkinabe people are expressing a desire for greater control over their destiny, and a rejection of perceived neo-colonial influences. This sentiment reflects broader trends across Africa, where there is a growing demand for self-determination and a reassessment of relationships with former colonial powers. The situation in Burkina Faso has attracted attention and reactions from regional and international actors. Neighboring countries and regional organizations, such as the African Union and ECOWAS, are closely monitoring the developments. These entities have a vested interest in ensuring regional stability and may play a role in mediating the tensions between Burkina Faso and France. Internationally, the return of France and the ensuing protests have been covered extensively by global media, drawing attention to the broader issues of neo-colonialism and foreign influence in Africa. The reactions from other global powers, such as the United States, China, and Russia, also reflect the complex geopolitical landscape, as these nations have their interests and strategic considerations in the region. Looking ahead, the return of France to Burkina Faso and the ongoing protests will likely have lasting implications for the country's political and social landscape. The resolution of the current tensions will be critical in shaping the future of Burkina Faso's relationship with France and its broader foreign policy orientation. If the protests and public opposition continue, there may be pressure on the government to take a firmer stance against foreign influence and prioritize national sovereignty. This could lead to further policy shifts and realignments in Burkina Faso's international partnerships. Conversely, a diplomatic resolution that addresses the concerns of both parties could pave the way for a more balanced and mutually beneficial relationship between Burkina Faso and France. Such an outcome would require careful negotiation and a commitment to respecting Burkina Faso's sovereignty and developmental aspirations. Here is a very important question. What does this protest tell about the psychology of Burkina Faso's people? How did they react in such a way? They have a past of accepting everything. Why such a reaction now? The immediate catalyst for the protests was the announcement of the return of French diplomatic and possibly military presence, seen by many as a reassertion of neo-colonial control. The French embassy's proximity to the presidential palace heightened these fears, symbolizing the perceived overreach of French influence directly into the heart of Burkina Faso's governance. The protests have seen participation from a broad spectrum of society, including students, activists, nationalist groups, and ordinary citizens. Among the leading organizations is the National Coordination of Citizens Watch Associations, which has been vocal about the need for greater national sovereignty and has organized several of the demonstrations. Key figures have emerged within the movement, such as Haider Ould, who has become a prominent spokesperson for the protesters. His speeches and interviews have resonated with many, articulating the fears and aspirations of a populace tired of foreign interference. Another notable figure is Pugo Lanko, whose detailed accounts of interactions with the French embassy have highlighted the protesters' demands and experiences. The symbolism used in the protests has been potent and deliberate. Protesters carry national flags to emphasize their call for sovereignty and independence. The presence of Russian flags among the demonstrators is particularly noteworthy, symbolizing a desire for new alliances and a pivot away from traditional Western influences. Protest tactics have included peaceful marches, sit-ins, and symbolic acts such as the planting of trees around the protest sites to signify growth and a new beginning. The disciplined nature of the protests has been a point of pride for organizers, who emphasize nonviolence and orderliness to garner broader public support and international sympathy. The protests have had a significant impact on daily life in Ouagadougou. Businesses near the French embassy and the presidential palace have had to adjust to the constant presence of demonstrators and security personnel. This disruption has affected commerce and mobility, with some areas experiencing temporary closures and rerouted traffic. Despite these inconveniences, there is a sense of solidarity and purpose among the citizens. Many residents support the protests, viewing them as a necessary step towards reclaiming national dignity and independence. This widespread support has helped sustain the momentum of the movement, even as it faces challenges. This shows the people are not ready at any cost to accept slavery. The modern slavery that comes under the name of protecting Africa is also rejected. Do you think France can face the young people on the streets? Will they ever be able to exist in Africa without locals' permission? Let us know in the comment section. Do you think the youth has woken up? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.